Hey guys, it's Karen from A Yarn Tale. I am coming to you from Chicago, where I live with my husband, our 3 kids, and our dog Max. You can find me on all the places, Instagram, Ravelry, as Not Fancy Knitter, that's K-N-O-T Fancy Knitter, and there's a Ravelry group and an email address for this podcast. If you'd like to get in touch with me, I would love to hear from you. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if it's not your first time here, then welcome back. I'm so glad you decided to spend some time here. This is a knitting podcast, so let's get right into it. It's been a couple of weeks since I podcasted. Last week was Thanksgiving, and I usually podcast on Fridays, but Friday was really crazy at our house, so I didn't quite get to it. So here we are. I have a bunch of stuff to share with you. First is what I'm wearing. This is an old knit. This is one of the first things I knit. It is the Sunday sweater by Petiteknit. I knit it out of the recommended yarn, which was Camerose Schneeflocken, held double with some kind of mohair. What was it? Kid Silk's, I think. I'll put it in the down bar because I don't entirely remember. I have to look at my project page. But I held it double, and it makes a super fluffy, fuzzy, I don't know if you can see the halo there, but it is like extra fuzzy. I love this pattern. I love this sweater. This is the first sweater I ever knit. Before this time, I had knit 2 hats semi-successfully, and I thought, okay, well now I can make all the things. So I picked out this sweater. It was actually, given the fact that I had never done a gauge swatch before and I knew nothing about sweater construction or really anything, it was a decent pick for a first sweater pattern. It's top down, it's knit in the round, so it's all one piece, there's no seaming, and it's pretty basic. Like there's this yoked pattern at the top, but it's just made with knits and purls and some pretty basic increases, and then there's no short row shaping, it's just the same on the front and the back. You knit down, separate for sleeves, and then it's just a stockinette body with a little bit of ribbing at the bottom and a bind off that is super tight. Whoops. And then there's these giant poof sleeves that were really fun to make. So instead of decreasing, you actually increase down to the cuff. So I think it turned out pretty well, given the fact that this was probably way too ambitious of a project for someone who'd only been knitting for 2 months at that point. I can say you can see where I did my increases. Like they're not so great. But I mean, they're consistent, so maybe it's a design feature? I'm gonna say it's a design feature. Anyway, I still wear it a ton. It's really warm because of the mohair. I love the neutral color and it fits. I mean, God bless gauge swatches. I swatched in the round. I remember thinking it was super weird, but it worked. And yeah, so that's the Sunday sweater by Petiteknit. I would super recommend it if you are looking for an easy banging out sweater. So I have a couple of finished objects. One of them I do not have with me because I gifted it, but I took a tiny video before I gave it away so that we could talk about it a little bit. So I knit the Void shawl by Melanie Berg for my mother-in-law. I gave it to her for her birthday, but I had really knit it just to say thank you because during the course of our home renovation, we actually stayed at their house for a night, which is truly like the Circus has come to town. You know, my husband and I and our 3 kids and our dog like all pile in the minivan and like drive over to Grandma's house. But it was super helpful for them to take us in for a night while they were spray foam insulating in our house, which apparently off-gases chemicals that you're not supposed to breathe in overnight. So thanks, Grandma. So I knit her this shawl. It is a worsted weight shawl. I knit it out of Woolfolk Far, which is 100% merino. It is super fluffy and fuzzy and soft and squishy and really just such a treat. It is a little bit pricier than I usually would spend on yarn, but it was a gift and I figured like, whatever, I don't need that many skeins of it. I forget how many skeins I bought. I don't know, whatever they said in the pattern, that's what I did. So, it was really a fun knit. It is just textured stitches. It's knits and purls, and then there's these twisted stitches left and twisted stitches right that make this beautiful diamond pattern that is just really kind of subtle and lovely, and the color is really neutral, which I love, and I think my mother-in-law loved it as well. So it turned out it's kind of either a really skinny shawl or kind of a fat scarf. I don't know. She's not really a shawl wearer, but I don't know if that's because she doesn't like shawls or she just doesn't have one or she never thought about it. I don't even know. But I figure if she didn't want to wear it as kind of a wrap, you can always use it as a scarf. And I'm fairly confident that she understands that she's not supposed to throw it in the washing machine. Or she'll have like a little Christmas ornament or a little scarf for my dog. So hopefully it won't get felted and wrecked, but she's pretty thoughtful. So that was that. That is the Void Shawl by Melanie Berg. I will say, I talked about this in more detail in the last podcast, but I forgot to mention one thing. So in the shawl, there are these diamonds, and where the crisscrosses come together, where the points cross each other, there's these things that Melanie calls a bundle stitch, where basically you take a couple of stitches and instead of working them, you just wrap the yarn around a bunch of times and then slip those stitches over. So that was pretty weird, and the way that they recommend doing it in the pattern is just constantly moving your stitches from the left needle to the right needle and then moving the yarn around that way. But somebody in the notes on Ravelry suggested that you just throw those 2 stitches on a DPN and then wrap the yarn around that way, so you don't have to keep going back and forth. And it was super helpful and much, much faster. So if you end up knitting this shawl, I'm not doing a great job of describing it, but just go into the comments on Ravelry, and there's a pretty decent discussion about bundle stitches and how to make them less horrible. So that's a Void Shawl by Melanie Berg. Highly, highly recommend. It did not take long. It was really fun. It was very easy to read your knitting after you did a couple of repeats. So if you are challenged by patterns, as I am in knitting, even you can do it, because I managed to do it myself. So that was a good one. That's enough. What else do I have to say about this? Okay, I have one more finished object, although I have only woven in a couple of ends. It is my Shawlography by Stephen West. It was part of his Mr. Knitalong, and I'm not going to go through it in great detail because I feel like I've talked ad nauseum about this in past episodes, but I did finish it. And here it is. I had been working on this striped border, and it is done. It is really big. People have been talking about how they were kind of disappointed that it was smaller than a lot of Stephen's shawl patterns, which is crazy because it's really big. I mean, I had a lot of yarn left over, so I guess if you were looking for 5 full skeins of fingerings worth of knitting, in that sense, it is small, but it's a good size. I mean, like, you can wear this as like a really nice wrap. This is the back. So I've woven in the ends kind of up to here. I kind of started at section 1, which is this middle section, and I've been working my way down. I haven't trimmed them very closely because I want to block it first and then trim them after I block it in case, I don't know, in case some of those stitches wiggle out. But check out this fringe of ends. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like I've been weaving in ends for days and I have made no progress at all. I should have done the weave and Steven, you guys. I should have done the weave and Steven, but alas, I did not. But it is wild and crazy. These are definitely not my colors, which is weird because I picked them. I mean, I like it, but it is gonna be a statement piece for sure. It looks a little better and less wacky when you actually have it on, because you kind of just can see the textures and not so much like that pink and brown wedge that's just like whoop-ah. So I do think that I will get somewhere out of it, but it's such a statement piece that it's definitely not for every day. But I'm glad I did it, and I will at some point weave in the rest of these ends. I've been doing just a little bit kind of every day. Whenever I sit down, if I don't, have a project handy, I'll just kind of like knock out a couple of ends, and then eventually it will get done. It will get done. So that is my Stephen West. If you are interested in the yarns that I used or kind of more about the different sections, really any of the last 4 episodes talk about that pretty extensively. So I feel like I'm kind of over it. Like MCAL is done. I will do it again. Maybe not next year, but I'll definitely do it again at some point. Because it was really fun to be part of that kind of community and, everybody working on the same thing. But I'm kind of tired of talking about it. So, okay. So if you can hear grinding, there's about 10 workmen in my first floor that are cutting things with a table saw. I don't know what's going on. Our water is off. It's a little bit like extreme home makeover right now, and I keep waiting for a day when it is quiet in my house, and that day does not come. Either we have the table saw and like whatever that rumbly grumbly is over there, there it is. Or it's a Sunday and they're not working, but then the whole rest of my family is home. So they're like, that is challenging to record for its own reasons. So I went with construction noise over children because it's loud, but it's not as demanding, right? Like nobody wants milk or like toast, or nobody has some kind of bathroom situation. So I'm sorry for the noise. I also switched around the camera angle, so hopefully this is a little bit better. If it is not, please, please, please let me know. You will not hurt my feelings. I'm working on it. So those are my finished objects, which I feel like is kind of a lot. Well, it's only 2 things, but it felt like a lot. They were kind of bigger projects. So I have some works in progress. My first work in progress, I don't know if you remember, maybe I should put this on. Okay, I'm gonna put this on. It is not done, but it is in a spot where actually I can wear it. And you can see what's going on. So I'm gonna do that because I think it shows the texture a little bit better. Hang on. All right, my first work in progress is the Social Bubble Jumper by Brenda Lamb. It is a chunky or super bulky, I don't even know what you call it, pullover with this beautiful bubble texture on the sleeve. I mean, look at it. Okay. I think it is knitting up fantastic. It's oversized, but it super fits. And the sleeve is out of this world. I mean, I can't stop looking at it. Okay, so it is a little bit wild style-wise. This is definitely not what I would usually wear, but I don't think it is ridiculous. Like maybe, again, maybe I just, like, it's been too long, I'm too close to it, and it is ridiculous, but I can't tell. But I don't think so. Like, I am for sure gonna wear this somewhere, most likely to Whole Foods, let's be honest. I'm gonna go to Costco in my Social Bubble Jumper and get some things, because that's all I do these days. But I am knitting it out of Knit Picks Tough Puff, which actually, some here. It is, they call it super bulky. I don't know if you can read that. It's in the colorway Pomegranate. This is some big yarn. Okay, so I'm knitting it on US, what is it? I'm knitting it on 17s. I believe I'm knitting the body on 17s and the collar and the any of the ribbing on 15s, I think. Whatever it is, it's like ginormous and slightly less ginormous. So it is knit bottom up. So you start down at the hem, cast on, knit up in the round, and then separate for front and back and knit the front flat and the back flat, and then 3 needle bind off. Look how pretty that is. 3 needle bind off on the shoulder, and then pick up for the collar, pick up for the sleeve, and then do this beautiful bubble texture, which is super easy, you guys, super easy. You just drop your stitch down, and then whatever, catch it. It's not bad. I watched a video, it wasn't that bad. It just looks amazing. Like, I want everything in this texture. I want pillows in this texture. I want like blankets in this texture. Yes, I think Stephen West has some stuff in that texture. No wonder, it's amazing. Okay, so the front is just stockinette with these, a couple purl bumps in a regular pattern that kind of create this texture. And then all I have left to do is one more sleeve, which based on the last sleeve took me about 2.5 days. I think if I had better tools, it would go a lot faster. Like my needle, I don't have my needle right here, but the 16, I was knitting these on like either a 16-inch or a 24-inch cord, and maybe it's 16 inches. And the needle tip is really short. I didn't know that when I bought it. I just was like, yep, that's a size 17 or whatever the heck I was looking for. But the needle tip is really short. And since the yarn is so fat, that means I can really only fit like 3 stitches on the needle before I'm already onto the cord, which makes it kind of slow. Like you can't just stack your stitches up and then go, 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 even if it's stockinette, because like it's just awkward. It feels really awkward. So it's slowing me down a little, but I think any speed that I have lost because of my bogus needles is easily made up for in the fact that this yarn is like huge. So I'm gonna finish it. It is super warm. I mean, super warm. Like even sitting here, I'm like, woo, this is 100% wool. It is 110% wool. It is, like I said before, it's not soft, but I mean, it's not scratchy, but you definitely feel, like you definitely can tell it's wool. I mean, that said, like the collar's not bothering my neck. It's just not, I mean, after knitting the void shawl in that 100% like beautiful merino, that's like knitting with a cloud. This is like not that, but is also super reasonably priced. And I don't think it looks cheap. I think it looks cool. So, thumbs up for Knit Picks. Not sponsored, but Knit Picks, if you're watching, if you'd like me to sponsor you, I'd be all over that. This is the Social Bubble Jumper by Brenda Lamb. It is definitely worth a try. She has a bunch of super bulky patterns, and I follow her on Instagram. She's super cute, and she keeps teasing a cabled sweater pattern that's not in super bulky, so I would definitely look into that, because I don't know if I can do another bulky one right away. I kind of need a break, but if she had another pullover that was slightly less giant, I'd be up for that, because her pattern was super clear. It was really straightforward and like fun to knit. Last time I podcasted, I was talking about what hat pattern I should use to knit hats for gifts for guys in my family. You guys had so many good choices that now I have a list a mile long of hats I want to do. So thank you for that. I'm hoping to knit a couple of them before Christmas. I don't know. But last time I went to Miss Pearl Chicago, I bought 2 skeins of this Distortion Fibers DK weight in the colorway Werewolves of London, and it is just beautiful. I wanted to knit a hat for gifts. I don't know if you can see how beautifully tonal this yarn is. It's brown and there's some purples in there and some pops of orange even, but not in like a crazy way. And especially when it knits up. This is the hat that I'm doing. I'll talk about that, but I want you to see the knit up fabric is beautiful. I mean, it's like there's a lot of depth of color and variation in there, but it still reads pretty neutral. So I think it will work for guy hats. So I cast on the Oslo Hat by Petiteknit, and this hat is, I picked it because I really wanted to do a muscle burrow, but I did not have it in me to knit that much because the muscle burrow is a giant tube that folds in on itself, and you basically have to knit 2 hats, and I really like the way fingering or DK weight looks for that type of hat, and I did not want to knit like 20 inches of stockinette just to get a hat for a gift. That's a lot for a gift. Because Christmas is coming, you guys. So I picked the Oslo hat because I feel like it's similar in style, but it's like achievable as far as the timeline. So I don't know how familiar you are with this pattern, and I'll pop in a picture if I can find one. But you basically cast on and then knit a giant tube again, but before you get too far, you fold the brim in, just in the same way that you do a folded over collar on a pullover. You do a folded over, like knit together brim, inches and inches of stockinette until you get to the point where you want to start decreasing, and then there's basically 4 points of decrease at the top, and you close it up. So I'm about 6 or 7 inches in, so pretty soon I have to knit together that brim, and then kind of it's smooth sailing from there. I'm knitting this on a US 3, which was the same size that I used for my muscle burrow hat that I knit. I really like the fabric I'm getting. It's pretty dense, but it's DK, so like, you know, if you want it to be decently warm for winter, I think you do want a dense fabric for that. So my next whip is kind of an old whip that I have resurrected. So if you have watched some previous episodes of this podcast, I started this sweater. It's the Schneeflocken by Sarah Solomon of Into the Wool. It's a colorwork yoke sweater that has a beautiful pattern on the yoke, and then there's some colorwork on the cuff of the sleeves, and then also at the hem. So I knit 2 sleeves. Hang on. I knit a swatch, so cute, in the round to practice my color work, because I'm not so great at that. But I'm trying to get better. So that's my swatch. I knit 2 sleeves, which are not entirely the same size, but they're pretty close. You can see a little bit how my color work pulls in at the cuff, just because I'm still working on it. But I still like it. So I had sort of put this project on hold. I'm knitting it out of Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the colorways Fossil, that's the dark brown, and no, Fossil is the white, and then Pumpernickel is the dark brown color. So I had kind of put this project on hold for 2 reasons. One, it was summertime, and Loft is 100% wool, and it is really woolly. It's non-superwash, and it's really light, but it is warm. So the idea of knitting a giant wool sweater in the middle of summer of Chicago was not like at the top of my list. But also when I cast on the body, so you knit the body bottom up. When I cast on the ribbing for the body, I had cast on for the second size, because that's the size that I knit the sleeves. And the pattern says that you cast on extra stitches for the ribbing so that it doesn't pull in. So there were just a ton of stitches on the needles, and I could tell that even though it was supposed to have extra stitches, it was enormous. Like, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but I knew that if I went ahead and knit the sweater with that length of ribbing, I was not gonna be happy with the way it turned out, because it was just really, really bulky. So this looks super tiny because I have it on a small cord, but this is actually, what I did was, so when I knit the sleeves, it was the same thing. The pattern said like cast on a lot of stitches for the ribbing so that it doesn't pull in. But I didn't entirely cast on all the stitches that were recommended, because when I did so, again, it was like giant. I mean, even too big. It was just like flaring out and it looked really bad. So I cast on a smaller number of stitches that I just kind of eyeballed. So what I did was I took the ribbing that I did for the body and I ripped it out. I'd only done like probably this much. This is what I've redone. So I was pretty much at this point before I set this project down. So I took it off the needles and I ripped it out. Oh my God, construction. You guys, I'm so sorry. What are they doing? They sound like they're running a table saw in the room next door. I'm all the way upstairs in like this tiny room, 2 flights up, and it is so loud. Okay. So what I did was I ripped out the ribbing that I had done, and then I, instead of trying to eyeball the whole length of stitches for the body, which I was not confident I'd be able to do, I figured out the proportions. So like I would say if I was supposed to cast on 100 stitches and I only cast on 60, then if I was supposed to cast on 200 stitches for the body, I would only cast on 120, right? I just like proportionately figured it out. Those numbers are not even close to right, but I figured out the proportions for what I had to cast on for the body so that it turned out similar to my sleeve. And what happened was my numbers were basically spot on for the first size. So I cast on the number of stitches that they recommended for the first size, and then I'm just gonna sort of figure out my, finagle my stitch count once I'm done with the ribbing so that I have the correct number of stitches for size B when I get to the color work chart. So I'm pretty close. You need almost 3 inches of ribbing before you get to the color work chart at the hem, and I've probably got like 2. So I'm really excited. I forgot how much I liked this yarn, especially after this giant yarn. It's just really nice to work with something that's a little more manageable. It is lovely, and I love the fabric. I don't know, it's dark yarn, so I don't know how much you're gonna be able to see, but I love the fabric of this ribbing. It's like really fine, and it's gonna look so good, you guys. Even just taking these sleeves out of the bag, I was like, oh, I forgot. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. So I'm really excited to get back into that project. And I was kind of thinking where I wanted to go with my knitting in 2022. I haven't done like a full make 9 or any sort of serious plans as far as the projects I want to make, but I have kind of been thinking that I would like to really choose projects based on skills that I don't have so that I can get better, right? I feel like I got a lot better this year because this is kind of my first full year of knitting. I guess it was my second, but no, was it? Started knitting in 2019, knit in 2020. No, this is the second year. I lie. But anyway, from the beginning of 2001 until now, I feel like I have gotten a lot better. I'm a lot more comfortable reading patterns and reading charts and try brioche and just kind of, I feel like I have my feet under me. So I wanna get better at some other things. So one of the things I really want to get better at is color work, because I mean, let's be honest, there is some room for improvement here. There's definitely some room for improvement here, but I still like it. So I think if I can get back on the horse with this sweater, then like that's a good step towards getting better and not always knitting the same things and not always being stuck with, my sweater has to be top down. I don't really want to do seaming. I don't really want to do stranded color work. I don't really want to do intarsia. There's like a lot of things that I initially see in a pattern and I'm like, oh, that sounds hard. And I kind of just want to get over that bump, because most things, in my experience in knitting, that are supposed to be hard are actually, they're not. They're not. You just have to get in there and practice. So that's the plan. I'm gonna do my Schneeflocken, get in there and practice my color work, and even if it turns out a little bit wonky, I'll still wear it. It's gonna be awesome. So that is that. That is my last work in progress. I do have some future knitting. So hang on a second. I'm gonna grab a sweater because I need a visual. Future knitting plans. I need to make cardigans for my girls. I have a 5-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old daughter, and I knit a cardigan. Oh my God, this is so crumpled up because it's been on the floor of my daughter's room for longer than I care to admit. But I knit a sweater for my daughter last year. It looks so bad, but it is just a cardigan. It's called the Family Cardigan by Sirdar. I knit it out of Quince & Co., whatever their sport weight yarn is, chickadee. And I did this little contrast color on the hems and the cuffs. And she wears it a lot, but it is definitely kind of a play cardigan because when I did the ribbing, I didn't go down a needle size because I was too lazy and I didn't think it would matter, but of course it mattered. Right? People who make sweaters, like, you know this. So I learned that lesson the hard way. So when you wear it, here, I'm gonna button it up. When you wear it and when she buttons it up, like the button band is not good. It like flares out all over the place. Hang on. And it just looks really sad. Like it's the kind of sweater where someone would be like, oh, did your mom make that for you? Oh, she did that so nice. Like, that's not what we're going for. You want someone to be like, no way, you made that? That's amazing. Okay, this is not an amazing sweater. This is like a learning piece. Because when you button it, like, check that out. That is janky. That is not good. Of course, she's 7 and she does not care. Like, it's pink and she loves it and she wears it all the time. God bless her heart. But not good. And the reason that I know I need to make another one, a different one, is because when we went to, so we're renovating our whole house. And so our dining room, our living room is not accessible right now. It's blocked off because they're building stairs to my basement. So there's a giant hole where the stairs are gonna come up that's just down to the basement. So, you know, we have children and dogs and we can't have that accessible. So the living room is blocked off. So a lot of my living room furniture is currently stuffed into my dining room, which is great. So for Thanksgiving, we didn't host this year, which is like the first year we haven't hosted in 10 or 11 years. And so we went out to Thanksgiving, which was super weird and very nice, at a restaurant. So we dressed up and my daughter wore this really fancy, she likes to be fancy. So she wore this really fancy dress. It was really cute. And then she was like, I can wear my sweater. And I was like, you're gonna wear that sweater? That's not even a good sweater. That's like a sad little sweater. She wore it and she super liked it, which is why she's the most knit-worthy person in our family currently. But it was a little sad. I mean, it made my heart a little, happy and sad, right? Happy that she wanted to wear it, but also like, oh, honey, I can make you a better sweater than that. So I need to make dress cardigans for my girls because they really only like to wear sweaters when they have dresses on because they're short sleeve and they like it. They like to be fancy. So that is on my list of things to do. So here's the real problem. I need to make a sweater for my 7-year-old so that she will stop wearing this one when she's dressed up and only wear it when she's playing. But anyone who has kids knows that you cannot make 2 sweaters for one and no sweaters for the other one because, like, then you got to put more money in the therapy fund for when they're older. So they can explain why, you know, it made them feel really bad. So I need to make a sweater for my 5-year-old first because fair is fair. But then I got to get on the horn and make one for my 7-year-old because they both need dress cardigans so that I don't have to feel bad when this one comes out. So what I'm thinking of, and I know I talked about this a long time ago because I bought the pattern and everything, was I'd like to make the Dahlia cardigan by Lene, Holme, Samsee. And this pattern is amazing. It comes in a like a top, a cardigan, and a dress. So I'll try to put a picture up, but this is the pattern picture. Of course, it's been stuffed in a project bag for like months. This is the cardigan. I don't know if you can see, there is this beautiful lace pattern at the top. Let me see if I can get a better. Actually, the front picture, you can see the lace pattern. It looks like leaves. Probably Dahlia leaves. I don't even know what they look like. But I was thinking of making this, and I would like to make it out of a pretty fine yarn. The suggested yarn is Sanduskarn alpaca. Let me see. Yeah, alpaca, which would be super soft and a little bit fuzzy and drapey and kind of more what I'm looking for other than this one, which is a little bit heftier. Although this is DK. I don't know. I think if I picked like a finer yarn or a softer yarn, then maybe it would just read a little bit better. Maybe the lace will make it look a little bit dressier. I'm hoping. There's also a not insignificant part of me that kind of wants to look for Selena because my girls love a good sparkle. And if I could knit even like a white or a silvery cardigan with some Selena in it, they would lose their minds. And probably want to wear it on the playground. And then I'd have the opposite problem where they're wearing a dressy sweater when they play and that play sweater when they're fancy. So I don't know. But I'd have to really look and see if I could find some kind of sparkle yarn in the appropriate quantity. I don't know. My local yarn stores don't seem to carry sparkle yarn unless it's like sock yarn. I mean, like self-striping. They have some self-striping sock yarn, but I haven't seen it in like a solid color. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some recon on that and see if I can find something. Otherwise, I'll probably just go with like some kind of pink variety because that's what they like. So I've got to knock out 2 of those, not 2 of the same because they don't actually like to be the same, but I would start with that one. Here's the real problem. I would rather just make cardigans for my older daughter because I know in a year my younger daughter can wear it, but she should get a new one, right? Right? It's just, they're so close. They're only 18 months apart and they're both small. So like their clothes are kind of interchangeable. So it kind of hurts me to make a size 6 when I know if I make an 8, they can both wear it. But I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make the smaller one because because I love them both. I don't know. So that is on my list of future knits. Other things that I really want to make, I have to cast on another guy hat from the tons of choices that you guys made, suggested in the last podcast because I have a couple more gifts I want to knock out. So as soon as I'm done with that Oslo hat, I'm going to knock that out. And I think that might be it for the knitting. Schneeflocken, cardigan, Dahlia. Okay, that's it. That's it for the knitting. And now the only other thing I really want to add is I have a couple of podcasts. You guys, I've been watching tons of podcasts. I put them on when I'm doing dishes. I put them on when I'm like cleaning up. It just makes the drudgery a little more bearable. So I have tons to recommend, but there are just a few that have sort of popped out that are new to me, but clearly not new because they have tons of subscribers. So maybe you all already know these folks. But I recently stumbled across Kalisha at Quirky Monday. You guys, why has no one mentioned her before? She's from Florida. She's super cute, super cool. Her mom's on the podcast a lot. Her mom is awesome. Makes me miss my mom. And so she is a knitter. She has tons of houseplants that she also super talks about, which every time without fail makes me want to get plants. And then I remember that I killed them all. So I have resisted the urge to get more houseplants because I feel like it's not fair to them. Because the plants, they can't tell me when they're thirsty and I just forget about them. They make no noise at all. I am able to keep my children alive and my dog alive because when I forget to feed them, they complain. And so until plants develop an internal alarm to make some noise when they need water, they can't live in my house because they don't make it. We are a desert. So Kalisha at Quirky Monday is awesome. She makes really cool sweaters and accessories, and she's just super fun. She's in the middle of Vlogmas right now, and I love it. I love it. I would highly recommend checking her out. I also super love Kelly over at Row and Kades. She's a knitwear designer and all in all, fantastic person from England, and I just love her podcast. I feel like if we did not live so far away, we'd totally hang out. Maybe that's just in my head. But anyway, I love her podcast, Row and Kades, so I would recommend that one. There are thousands of others, but I'll try to spotlight a couple every time so that if they're new to you, maybe you'll check them out. If you have podcasts that you love, I always love a good rec. So that is that. Otherwise, things have been really good around here. We're ramping up for the holidays. We are not doing a Christmas tree this year, which is super sad for me. But again, with the no living room, it's kind of a rough one. I might do a Charlie Brown tabletop tree in this room because it's really the only place that's not full of furniture from the living room. So as far as decorating goes, like we're really bare bones in it this year. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with our Christmas stockings. I don't know. I got to get to the bottom of that one because like Santa's coming. But otherwise, things are good. I got up this morning. I don't know if you have these little games that you play with yourself or if it's just me, but my coffee maker is a carafe, like the actual pot is a carafe that slides in. And so there's no markings on the carafe for how much water you're supposed to fill up in order to pour into the machine. So every morning I play this game where I try to fill up the carafe to the exact spot. I have to eyeball it where when I pour it into the machine, it gets to exactly to the 10 cup mark. I never get it, but this morning I was spot on. I nailed it. I was exactly 10 cups. So then you know it's gonna be a good day, right? I was like, 5:30 a.m., crushed it already. I'm going back to bed. So that was awesome. What else do I have that's going on except for the table saw? I got a lot of table sawing. My kids are good. They got their first and second COVID shot. So I'm boosted up. My husband's boosted up. We're all ready. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to plan some trips to see some family because my kids haven't been out to see family for 2 years because I just didn't feel comfortable taking them on a plane, and my family lives pretty far away. So that is good. Hopefully we can get some trips on the books to see some folks I haven't seen in a long time. So I was excited about that. And otherwise, we're just hanging out. I'm really excited to get some new projects on the needles and take some time to enjoy the season. So thanks so much for stopping by. If you have some projects that you're working on, I'd love to hear what they are down in the comments. If you want to say hi in the Ravelry group, that's cool too. Oh, speaking of Ravelry groups, thank goodness I didn't leave. I got one more thing. So I am hosting a 2021 gift make-along with Amanda over at Southern Knits in the Mitt. Anything that you have knit between October 1st and December 1st that is a gift for someone else, or it's a special gift for yourself. Okay, so I pulled a winner from my Ravelry group and also from the Instagram hashtag, and Amanda did the same. So let's see who won. First, let's go over what you can win. Ooh. So the first prize is this skein of fingering weight from Creo. It is from their Fuzz family line. This is in Baby Feet Sock, which is 75% Super Rush Merino, 15% nylon, and 10% Tencel in the colorway Party Powder. It's so pretty with this neutral base and these pops of speckles in pink and blue. And it's just beautiful. So this skein goes to, this was for my Ravelry group, and I did a random number generator and got number 115, which is SMN0423. I'll put that down below so that you can see it. Sheila from Kensington, Connecticut, you are the winner. Congratulations. So I will message you on Ravelry, but in any case, please send me your full name and address so that I can get this out to you. And congratulations, and thanks so much for participating. And I also pulled one from the Instagram group, or hashtag, and I also did a random number generator and got, what the heck was my number? 50, I think? I believe it was 50. And that was Yvonne Lee, who is Aunt.yvonne.knits on Instagram. And Yvonne, you are the proud winner of this skein of Fuzz Factory, also from, oh no, just kidding. You are the proud winner of this skein of worsted weight yarn, also from Creo. This is in their worsted base, which is anti-Afghan worsted. It's 100% superwash merino in the colorway Great Dane, which now that you hear that, can't you see the Great Dane in this? I don't know why, but I definitely see it. It's 100 grams. It is beautiful. And I also am including this tiny skein of Shibui Knits Silk Cloud, which is 60% kid mohair and 40% silk. So my thought was that maybe you could make, sorry, I shook the camera. Maybe you could make a hat out of it. Like I had that hat kit from 3 Irish Girls Yarn, and it was worsted weight held double with mohair. And it's so pretty and fuzzy that I ended up just keeping it for myself. So after you did your gift knit, maybe you too can knit yourself a hat out of this. So I will message you again on Instagram, Yvonne, but please send me your actual full name and address and I'll get these out to you. And thank you so much for participating, and for everyone else that participated, thank you. And I hope you get through all your gift knitting and find some time to knit for yourself. All right, that's all I got. I hope you're doing well, and happy knitting. Oh my gosh, that's so loud. That's so loud. Okay, get this on. Okay, this is why the Lord invented dry shampoo.